Real talk.
How are you beautiful Ugandans? It's your girl Ezitwaala. Welcome to the fancy floor. Who doesn't see my hair, guys? I am super glamorous. Remember, this is the only show where we're going to be talking about fashion.
Please, where are you thinking? Teaching.
What has been confusing you about fashion? Sorry, you said I should not smile. For all the information about fashion, maintenance of body shape.
I can wear bling bling when I'm going out. So you can wear bling bling going out or any occasion.
We shall be doing all this in the fancy floor. Remember, it airs every Thursday right from 8:30 to 9 with your girl Ezitwaala. It is the fancy floor.
The alternative dig talk. Real issues. Real talk.
A good evening to you, all our viewers. Welcome to the Diaspora Link. I am your wonderful host, Nixon Segawa. Today is the 10th of February, 2022. Welcome once again to the Alternative Digitalk. This is the show, the Diaspora Link, where we talk about the plight of all our brothers and sisters that are living and working abroad. Twagera okubaaniriza, twongera n'okubeetondera nate olunaku lwa leero olw'okulwawo okutandika programu yaffe naye munaatusonyiwa olw'ensonga eziteebereka. Naye twebaza Katonda nti tugenda kubeera n'akaseera akalungi nate era mu kifo kino eno olunaku lwa leero. Today we are going to be looking at a very wonderful topic, and that is the role of recruitment companies in streamlining labor export. Gwali eyo njagala okwongera okutegeeza nti industry eno ey'okutwala bannaUganda wabweru w'eggwanga okubanga bakola si teruddeewo nnyo emyaka si mingi nnyo. Industry eno mu kubanga etereezebwa gavumenti yasalawo n'egamba nti keekwase ku buyinza obumu ebukwase zi company ez'enjawulo okubanga baddukanya omulimu ogwo. So companies eno zitegeeza zirina omulimu munene gwe zikola. They play a very big role and they play a very big part. That's why we have decided to come out and try to speak to these companies to know what they offer and how they can best streamline the labor export. Tubeebaza nti balina bingi bye bakoze okubanga batereeza omulimu gwabwe, naye ate era tetujja kwerabira nti n'ebikyalumira bikyalimu bingi. Ebiseera ebisinga tuvaayo ne tunenya kampani olw'ensonga ez'enjawulo ng'ate oba oli awo si be bavunaanyizibwa ku nsonga ng'ezo. Ate oluusi tuvaayo ne tunenya gavumenti olw'ensonga eziba zizze naye nga kampani ze ziba zivunaanyizibwa. So olunaku lwa leero tuweereddwa omukisa okubanga tukyaza omukulu Ronnie Mukundane. Ono nga ye mwogezi w'ekibiina ekigatta kampani zonna ezitwala bannaUganda wabweru w'eggwanga. Ekibiina ekyo kiyitibwa UAERA. So kannyanirize omukulu Ronnie abeere nga atubuuzaako.
I'm glad to be here, first of all.
Okay.
And my name, as you said, is Ronnie Mukundane. I work as the Public Relations Officer with the Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies. Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies, oba bangi kye bamanyi nga UAERA, kitongole ekitwala companies eza gavumenti yawa olukusa oba yawa license okunoonyeza bannaUganda emirimu ebweru eyosebo.
So abannaUganda bakasooka okuwulira ku UAERA, njagadde oyongere okubanga obannyonnyola. kikiddala kyekikola ng'ogyeko ekyo?
UAERA eri association engeri gye ngambye, association ya companies ezina license. Mu ebyo bye tukola oba objectives zaffe mulimu ekituyita self regulation, nti tugezaako nnyo okulaba nti companies zigoberera amateeka oba etteeka erifuga sekita eno lyetumanyi nga the employment of Ugandan migrant workers abroad. Of course, waliwo eripya 2021. So nekirala nti ku making sure nti rights za bannaUganda abagenze kukola bayise mu companies zino ziri kept in mind, oba to make sure that the rights are followed as per the laws that govern not only in Uganda but also in those countries that they have been externalized to.
Okay. So how many companies are we talking about, the membership?
The membership, engaged engagement, they are the licensed recruitment companies,
yes.
And as of today, we're talking of 217 licensed recruitment companies in Uganda.
Is that minus those that have been suspended, or?
We talk because suspension is temporary.
Okay.
It means that maybe there's something that you must change. Then in that period, what's something that is being investigated on you, so government takes it upon themselves bakuteka ku suspension. So suspension is all of vakenja. So they didn't already the license bakitegeeza nti bakuggyeko license kati gwe mu 217 oba tolimu naye bw'obeera suspended you still stay in the 217 ne ku list ministry bw'egifulumya ebeerako n'akagamba ako keteekako suspended, yes. Naye bw'ekuggyako license nebadde licensed tobeerako ku list eyo.
So omuntu afuuka atya member wa UAERA?
Changu ate si changu nti you must be licensed. So what does that mean? Nti nga tonafuuka member wa UAERA oba tonalowoozaako okubeera member wa UAERA onakusooka kubeera licensed, nti onafuna license kuva mu government mu ministry ebeerako byeyagala uko mitendera gyolina kuba ogoberera. Things like bank guarantee, you should have be able to have a bank guarantee of 100 million. This is the money that the government puts aside should there be need, maybe to repatriate or to give help to any of the people you have taken. So this is the money they touch. Then you should also be Ugandan. The new law states it very clearly kati onakubeera muna Uganda teri nti oba oli mugwira ate nojja n'obeera ne company
wano. Muna Kenya yatwala government mu court.
Ndowooza ate kati etteeka lino eppya niyinza kutamu favoring nga saagala nnyo okwogera ku bintu biri mu kooti naye ku tteeka limanyi eppya liyinza tamu favoring. Of course nakyo kimataringa omusango gwo gwa ddi guteekayo nga waliwo erikadde oba we're talking about the new law. So but the new law is very clear. So you must be Ugandan among those other things, and of course you must have you must be registered by URSB. Ideally you must have a company, and then you have issues areas of tax clearance bintu ngebyo. So bobo bifunye ebyo ne bakuwa license, then osobola kufuuka member, then you can now become a member of UAERA.
So once one is licensed by the Ministry of Gender, then that's when they qualify to be members.
Exactly, that's the first qualification. Then now you can go into the rest of the simple details for you to be a member.
So this is an umbrella that brings together
all licensed
companies.
Yes.
Mukoze mutya kukulwanisa human trafficking nga UAERA?
Of course, human trafficking, waliwo etteeka eryo lya Trafficking in Persons Act, lirembeka bulungi what is supposed to be when you do what for you to fall in human trafficking. So what we do, we make sure that our members, as they talked of one of the objectives being self-regulation, to making sure nti abantu baffe, ba members baffe, oba zino licensed companies is operating within the law. We bakyogerako ku myaka 21 as the requirement in this other side of the law, to making sure nti muntu gwe externalizing 21. By the way, yogeddeko nogiyita labor export. It's not, we don't call it labor export kubanga bo exporting ekintu kiba kigenze tekidda ate you cannot export a human being. Eba tuyita labor externalization nti agenze nakola contract gwako akomawo. So to mu importing ate to mu exporting.
So to externalizing.
To externalizing yourself.
Okay. Tuyanzege. How do you work and who regulates you?
As I said, the licensing body is the government, which is Ministry of Gender. It just speaks into itself that we're ideally regulated by the Ministry of Gender because all our members fall under that. And again, the law that I talked about, which supervises this sector, also speaks of guidelines. And within the guidelines, the associations are very clear. So we come in practice through that. And of course, whatever we do is looked into by the Ministry of Gender.
So apart from a company being suspended, when does the company lose its membership?
Losing membership is a bit smaller. I think should be a smaller worry because you might not be a member because you haven't subscribed, but ideally it doesn't mean that you're not licensed. You could still stay licensed when you're not a member of UAERA simply because maybe you haven't yet subscribed, but then of course you still get the services because we're not necessarily there for the fact that for it to be looked at as money, but we're there to make sure that the sector is run in the right way, that the licensed companies perform their duties within the set laws and the regulations.
So does that mean there are licensed companies that are not part of UAERA?
There are those that have not yet come to UAERA, and because you being a UAERA member or subscribing to UAERA, there are particular job categories that you cannot do when you're not a member of UAERA. And also there are those that you could, for example, the category of jobs, the category of boys. With it, depending on whether it's armed security and all that, I could say all the other categories outside domestic work, you can still do, and without necessarily becoming a member of UAERA, because clearances, job orders, those ones go straight to the ministry. Naye boba oli mu wenyigidde mu kyakunoonyeza the Ugandan ladies jobs oba category ya domestic work, you olina kubeera member wa UAERA olw'ensonga nti those details normally go through UAERA. So UAERA plays a big part to make sure we screen, we see if the age is the right age, if the passport, if the contract is actually there, if this person has done training, so we get these details and be able to link them to the ministry.
Tweyanziza nnyo Mukulu Mukundane.
Yes,
nga bwe kyeyongerayo tulabye ebisoomooza bingi ebizze mu mulimu guno eno ogw'okutwala bannayuganda ebweru. Ensonga nyingi ezivuddeyo nga tufuna okwemulugunya ku kampani ezitwala bannayuganda ebweru w'eggwanga. Simanyi oba nammwe mufuna kwemulugunya bwe kuti?
Of course, bwe mukufunira bannamawulire, of course, definitely naffe tuba tukufuna, naye kisinziira nti wabeerawo okutali kutuufu wabeerawo okutuufu. Naye tekitegeeza nti tuba tetumanyi. Actually ffe basingira ddala n'omumanya ebitambula oba what happens in this sector, because we have direct touch with either families or direct touch with the people that were legally externalized. Wachinjogera bwe nti baba bayita mu companies baba bamanyi nti waliyo UAERA oba bamanyi nti issue so kati nowabeera wa media nga mmwe wabeerayo issue y'omwana nti muba mutuukirira ffe ate muba mutuweereza bu message. So we have a wider radius of gathering information, so tufuna bingi. Of course waliwo ebitu verifying nga waliwo all that naye tuba tumanya. Yes.
So mufuddeyo kubanga mulondoola why there are so many outcries?
Yes, nja kwogera first into what just happened recently. Waliwo visit ya minister the technical team comprised of PS, nebiramu commissioner, nebiramu chairperson wa UAERA, nebiramu secretary general wa UAERA, nga nebatambula nebagenda Saudi Arabia. Baliyo I think for over a week kuva mwezi ogwedde gwa January. Tebagenda nti bagenze kukyala, bagenda kukola. So kukola kuno bagenda kulondoola biki ebiriwo, what we would call review of the current bilateral. Oba kyenandisoose nakyo nti kutegeeza nti Uganda erina bilateral labour agreement n'ensi ya Saudi Arabia, oba waliwo endagaano Uganda gye yasayininga n'ensi ya Saudi Arabia kubeera nti bannayuganda bagenda mu nsi eyo nga bafunira emirimu naye nga babalondoola, of course with those strict conditions. So it was timely that this team travels to go and do review of what had been signed, and part of that, of course, includes the welfare of the Ugandans. So bingi balaba ate bingi bebateesaako. So ndowooza tujja kuba tubyogerako naye, but for now I could tell you that yes, tetubeera awo bantu bagenda nekiggwa naye tubeera ne responsibility. Ate it's also important to note nti wadde team eno yali tinagenda ne minister, team ekuva mu UAERA yali I think in the past 4 months yali yakagenda Saudi Arabia emirundi esukka mu 3. So babadde bagenda about 6 months babadde bakagenda emirundi esukka mu 3. So babadde bagenda nga batuuka ne embassy coordinating ate ne si kyekyo kyokka ne UAERA yateekayo team led by the coordinator nti ebeera erondoola ensonga z'abaana bano. Bw'abeerawo yeetaaga mutuukako oba ali mu distress, tulina team ngekolagana ne embassy, etula ko embassy ebeera etambula mu Saudi Arabia different parts ngetuuka ngetuusa obuyambi okiba kyetaaze.
Ronnie Mukundane agongagala bisenga amawulire amapya. Kyogamba UAERA mulina team ku ground
Saudi Arabia, tulina team Saudi Arabia ena coordinator ate ne team eno tukolagana ne companies buli ziweereza abaana basuka mu oba bawera 100 baweerezaako supervisor ku team eyo. So supervisor ya coordinating ne coordinator waffe. So there's a lot of information exchange. Nti ono primary purpose ya coordinator eri nti abantu bano abasobola kwogera nabo mu lulimi lubawulira, muntu namu, because there used to be an issue of how to communicate, what to say. Do you tell an Arab that now, meaning you have to speak in English? So, and sometimes psychosocial issues require someone to speak in maybe in a local language ate awulire bulungi. So nabeerawo supervisor ono ng'asobola kwogera naye Oluganda, asobola kwogera naye local language, then bw'abeera nga yeetaaga obuyambi asobola naye ku accelerating to either to the office the other side, office here,
does
or the
this
embassy.
stop at they arrive in Saudi Arabia or they keep monitoring?
No, they keep there. These people are there, they're stationed there. Babeerayo kubanga of course abagenda tebagenda babeerayo for one day. Bagenda babeerayo always, most all contracts mostly nga domestic workers za myaka 2. So ne supervisors babeerayo. Babeerayo of course ono bwawulira omulimu bwagu definitely bajja kubeerawo abalala bajja ono ng'avaamu omulala ajja, but naye abeerawo that part. Ne minister mu statement here ekyogerako emphasizing actually the emphasis of continuing to have that supervisor present the other side ng'abeera coordinating kumanya what's happening to a particular group or one issue ng'amutegeeze so that they can escalate where.
Mr. Mukundane, yes, we have been seeing, because we understand that companies are supposed to file their job orders with the ministry.
Yes.
Do you also look into those job orders to verify?
There is a system which is called External Employment Management Information System, oba mu futi gye bayita EMIS. EMIS eno government yagireeta for one of the different reasons is to try to go system, to kubeera ng'okendezako electronic, ng'okendeza paperwork and all that. So previously job orders, most of them speak specifically now for like Saudi Arabia, would be looked into first of all by the embassy team, the team at the embassy.
Okay.
Nga lwaki kubanga yo team eyo yeri ng'esobola tambula kutuuka mu offices ezo nga verifying whether, for example, if you are asking to have say 100 people, if they arrive before maybe they're taken to their homes, do you have where to accommodate them and all those things? How is the condition of the accommodation and all that? Are you licensed in Saudi Arabia alone? All that. So team where we're verifying and you approving at their level. Before that approval would come to UAERA.
Okay.
And then so on the system, UAERA looks through, verifies if the information is what it's supposed to be, forwarding a ministry. But of recent, once that approval, because now there's an issue of payment. Yajabu chintu cha sente nga job order bachisa with the new law, it must be paid for.
Yes,
now
yes.
The payment is just not necessarily the job order, but per vacancy.
So job order is
So
200,000.
Yes.
Paid to
Then
the ministry.
and then mulumuna issue per vacancy. Buli vacancy you pay for it. That you pay for it.
So that money goes to the ministry.
It goes to not to the ministry, it goes to the government coffers. Kubanga ezo sente zigezita mu UAERA zigenda mu government coffers, Ministry of Finance emanya how to
spend the funds.
Bazinakola kubo wano machinde bazinakola wa bamukyalo wafeeyo, so bwezityo bwezijja kuba bwezikola. But so issue issue ya sente we believe so system neberanga nti they upload, they pay the other side on the system, verify, then it's uploaded, the government approves, the ministry approves, and then the process continues that way.
So that means for you as UAERA, you no longer
this system is being tested, is actually being tried, well tested. Being tested, is it being tested as tried or being tested as it works? So it's one of the other things, because they were supposed to play a part, like we were playing a part before in verifying some of the things, but then you get a issue in your age. So yes, so as these documents come in, yes, the job order may not play so much, but when it comes to the issue of clearance, because job order is static. Nti jakuba yogera what category, the other rates that are supposed to be there or privileges that are supposed to be there, na ye kati kuno bituka ku bannaUganda bennyini kuba clearance beera ko bannaUganda ne kati clearance zijanga zita mu UAERA. So as it is, when the job, although the job order comes straight to the ministry, but still the clearances zita mu UAERA, so we're able to verify or no, or to tell you this, and including the other processes of PCR and all that. So we still have a role to play.
Tukola clearance nti otutta abaana 10. Emirimu boje giri gibalaga. Kubanga tulabye abaana bangi nga bali mu biyumba e Saudi Arabia bamazeeyo emyezi. Ene waffe waka job order yasindikibwa company negipresenting ng'ekakasa nti emirimu gye giri. Omwana namala emyezi ng'ali mu kiyumba side zeri.
No. Ekyo tekibaddewo. Actually, wabaddewo recently video wabaddewo saturating of social media, and these have specific reasons for sure. Teri nti abantu babatwala ati batuukise eri ate ne babeerawo gira mulindako. No. For recent Mwami Nixon, you must appreciate nti wabaddewo global challenge ya COVID-19, which has changed so much. As we talk now, Saudi Arabia, in their new labor laws, tekozesa muntu atali fully vaccinated. How many people do we have here that are fully vaccinated?
Yeah,
so should we? Yeah, but what do we do? Are you going to force someone? Are you going to say don't enter here because
do you mean we are taking people who are not fully vaccinated?
It's very true. It's not a secret. We are taking people who some are fully vaccinated. Most are partially vaccinated.
I thought that would be a compliance issue.
No, but until you see it has a part it plays.
Where you are taking people, they will employ those who are fully vaccinated.
Thank you very much. That's
but now you are taking those who are partially vaccinated. Because
they have, first of all, they have cleared you. They have told you, we want ABCD. We want this number of workers. You have sourced this job. You have your Ugandans here who are not working, who are qualified, who are able to do that job. And the part you're playing is to make sure they get that job. You have done everything, they have been cleared to go and do that job. But because of the new laws that they have put the other side, because they are not saying don't bring, they are saying bring them, but we shall make sure they are vaccinated. Saudi Arabia government tetaddeko nti temubaleta. Mubalete na just soka to vaccinating balina kuba fully vaccinated. So kati mukubeera fully vaccinated okwo tekijja kuba exercising kubanga sibwe wekaleeta. By the way, this is not that bannaUganda bokka. Buli mukozi agenda Saudi Arabia kati oba ovudde mu Philippines oba ovudde wa nika video. Actually some people kubadde waka video yako ngasatulating talking about one of the companies is licensed naye nga olaba mulimu abatali zitali zaffe sigamba nti tetuzirina wano naye nga kiri alegase bantu ba wano. So naye nga issue erichi nti kubanga Saudi Arabia ya passing that labor law, that labor condition nti buli muntu alina kubeera fully vaccinated. So within that period nga tebana ku vaccinating tojja kukola.
So kitwala emyezi emeka kubanga abantu
kyakabiirawo
abali mu kukaaba tumaze emyezi 3 tumaze emyezi 4.
Of course wabaddewo even those other kubanga then waliwo issue ya quarantine. Then there was an issue even of quarantine. Nga they would keep people in the quarantine longer. Nga even the quarantine fee is paid for. So sometimes omuntu avudde wano ye amanyi agenda kukola. Amanyi bwatuuka enkya nga atandika kukola. So when when this person is told you wait in an accommodation for some maybe a week or two, it will irritate the person. It is natural, even if it is you, because most times the way information is consumed could differ. Nzinza kitegeera ninga why abantu se wanu kasta nga tinatandika nja kukola naye waliwo abeerawo nagaa naye natuuka wano najja kukola nabaki mbeerawo so but the truth is eventually when you're within what is required, everyone has been taken into work. Yes,
so bannaUganda bonna bagenda batandikirawo kola
tebatandikirawo ngeri ngambe depending on the condition bwaba kati nga kati waliwo ntena kubeera fully vaccinated bwogenda toli fully vaccinated tojja tandikirawo so obvious
lwaki mutwala abatali fully vaccinated mubabeeze mu biyumba batandike n'okushedinga erinnya eri Kampuni.
Of course kibaddewo maybe it could be something that would might now have to look into and say nti kati bw'oba toli vaccinated fully tojja kulwensonga nti even by the way the cost is borne not by the migrant worker si muna Uganda nti bwoba otuuse eri nga tokola oli ku accommodation oli onywa sigwa bisasula oli partner yaba bisasula cause of that maybe tujja kirabamu oba twogereko ne diplomatically n'ensi eri through the embassy here oba ne companies tulabe nti cause kinamu cost implication ku company tukati gwatali fully vaccinated jiro olindako simanyi how it will be treated here by the civil society. Mwanga nzaga mutandisa discrimination. Kwanga by Ugandan law, tedinti gamba nti tojja kukola ndobagwe tijja kutwala wano kukola kwanga toli vaccinated toli fully. Maybe it might be something that could be adjusted into the law, but depending on what the other people say and also hear what our policy makers agree on, then could put it into law and say toli fully vaccinated tojja. So maybe kinakuba kinabireko ne message yacho nacho.
So abannaUganda bagenda okukola e Saudi Arabia signing a contract.
Signing a contract. Kulwensonga ngiri jonjogeddeko bilateral labor agreement eno Uganda ne Saudi Arabia eri very specific nti wadde baji signing 2017 tebuddeko ko naye mu ebyo wadde twandigize oba nkadde otugite tutya 5 it's about 5 years plus ekyali naye erina specific areas they are hittingako kwekyo mulumu that employment contract. Nti munnaUganda yenna agenda Saudi onasooka signing actually munnaUganda abeera externalized officially osooka signing kubanga nagenda omanyi kiki ogenda kukola. Ate ne contract zino maybe this particular contract ya Saudi Arabia ebeereko ne next of kin. Eriko about 4 parties nga tunateekako next of kin ebeerako gwe employee eriko employer wo eriko local company wano ya Uganda ebeerako ne foreign company eri Saudi Arabia then wabeerawo ne space ya next of kin omuntu wo wa signing anti yes omuntu ono verify nze oba mumanyi muntu wange nzikiriza nti agenda kukola mulimu guno kwa contract eraga nti ogenda kukola domestic work ogenda kufuna sente bweziti ogenda mu nsi ya Saudi Arabia mukama wo yono so tebeerawo nti ovudde wanate otuuse eri ebibeera mu trafficking tebibeera nga oyise mu mateeka sebo.
So ogambye nti abannaUganda bonna basigninga contract under which jurisdictions contract ebeera mu mateeka gawa age Uganda age Saudi Arabia?
Contract eyo eri based on the bilateral labor agreement. Tujja kukkiriza basis eri nti Uganda ya signinga waliwo overall agreement endagaano eyo which supersedes whatever is taking place, because not only do you have a contract between company, employer and employee, waliwo ne other contracts that take place. Waliwo ya partner ne partner, waliwo powers of attorney, all those. Those documents ziva mu eri. The contract bilateral area yatula, even these were documents that they looked into. Into why munnaUganda nze wange ojja muwa sente bweziti. Because that money is not just put by the Saudi Arabian government. Then, of course, even now these are things we're trying to discuss on whether to include, how to increase the money. Now, by that time, it was not just said and said, Saudi Arabia, a government, munnaUganda tujja muwa bweziti. It was agreed upon. So even these are agreed upon, because remember, waliwo enforcement of that contract. Gwagitwala gwagisigning tojja kukolera wano. So it is only ideal, it's only logical tejja kubeera mu jurisdiction ya Uganda. Ojja kubeera mu Saudi Arabia. So issue yanga you must have a telephone, for example, you communicate. It will not be enforced in Uganda. It is obvious that it will be enforced in Saudi Arabia. You are supposed to have medical, for example, or return ticket. Tejja kubeera enforced here. It will be enforced in the other receiving country. So but it is supervised by the bilateral. So we have nti kino kibeerawo contract kwegamba kwito bweri.
Mukulu Mukundane nja kusaba otuyambeko wano katono. Ku lupapula luneeno nsaba onkeberereko okwo. Tulinawo gye bayise standard employment contract for domestic survival service workers.
Yes, sir.
Simanyi oba endagaano gye twogerako bw'otunulamu eyo ddala eri standard.
Yeah, you know, your standard. You call English, then Arabic.
Then Arabic. Naye bwe tutunulira contract eno eraga nti actually essayiningibwa wakati wa employer naye nga company ye Saudi Arabia ye sayininga then ne wano munnaUganda company ya wano ye musayiningira. Lwaki company zisayiningira abantu bemutwala?
Ne ndaba mukulaba kwange simanyi oba kyokutte kyekimu ndaba munnaUganda ye yennyini wano. Ndaba munnaUganda as a party, ndaba foreign company wano, ndaba details employer.
Anti akatundu kagamba nti herein called
but I think there's a part even that is missing. Kubanga the other parts siraba Ugandan companies, siraba foreign employees, sibiraba one. But that part is supposed to be there.
And herein called the employer represented in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So it is just a representation.
Actually, I don't know whether this is an edited version, because the one we have standard, even this side, has a box. And clearly the camera can see that this is a different one. Unfortunately, I was not able to move with what I know. I did not carry one. But the one that I am used to, the one I've seen, differs from this.
So this contract is signed between companies and companies?
As I said, it's a four-party. The one I know, the contract that I know is a four-party contract that has an employee, you, the Ugandan here. It has an employer, the Saudi Arabian person, the home you're going to work into, which normally has the address, including the national ID of that person, which I don't see here. It has the foreign company and also the local company. So it's a four-party, the one I know. So ideally, that's how the contract is, the one I know.
So these girls that are going out, they are totally being paid for by?
There is my brother Nixon. If you have read the principles of International Labour Organization, ILO, which is the international body that handles issues of labor, has what they call the employer pays principle. It's one of the general principles and for what they call fair movement or fair recruitment. Now, when I will actually put it literally, when an employee comes to work in Uganda of United Nations, for example, or maybe United Nations makes it a bit high, an MTN employee, expatriate, we normally call them expatriates, we like calling them that way. Wajja wanokola from South Africa, from where, that employee does not pay for his travel, that employee does not pay for his transfer here. It is the employer who pays. And it is not just because MTN is a big company, but it's because it's what the law says. It's what the International Labour Organization General Principle states, that the employer gwanonya omulimo tusigwa asasula naye mukamaawo omukozesa yanosasula. So this is derived from the same principle. Nti Uganda we are signing a bilateral negotiations ezo bagamba tuna following International Labour Organization that category of that documents ezo. So mwecho nti simu na Uganda ajja kunonya omulimo yajja kusasula. By the way, Uganda, you're talking of these girls pay. Domestic work does not necessarily mean girls. They are domestic drivers. Nabo tebasasula. We're talking of where and yes. So yes, si ekyo kyokka waliwo abagenda kukolanga mu mawanga Somalia betuyita armed guards tebasasula. Bakama baabo bagenda Iraq, abali bagenda Afghanistan, kati of course Afghanistan yachuka tebasasula. abagenda babasasulira.
Anti
nze nkubuulira ekiriwo. So kati
bana abakola ewaka era bugamba bulungi abakola ewaka tubatwalira bwerere.
Kubanga
naye abagenda mirimu emirala.
Yes, kubanga ate abakola ewaka tekitegeeza abawala.
So
of course si companies zonna engeri jonjogedde wali ng'obadde ombuuza waliwo companies ziri members waliwo zitali members ba UAERA. Companies mpozi kyentayogedde wali nti companies zisinga obungi zitwala abawala naye si companies zonna zikola giri emirimu egirala oba zitwala abasirikale those ex-combatants oba zitwala those other categories where they have paid but for where they have paid oba domestic drivers si buli omuntu maybe afuna that job order naye bw'aba agifunye tebasasula abo. So naye kujjako wano kubanga buli company etwala abawala abakola mu nnyumba. So bwebe kuba obulango baba kuba akalango kajjaga nti eyo kategori bakusasulire tojja weleta ki obajja obajja nkutukole ne passport naye se bagikukolera nti bo bagikoze bujja mu sente zaabwe nedda. Sente zino ziba zivudde eri sente zino government ya negotiating nti omuntu wange bwe mbamuleta kukola ono kategori eno ojja musasulira kubanga gwa mwagala. Zino sente zetwogerako zetuyita foreign earnings zimwe ezo zetwogerako. So sente zino kubanga
company bwetandika okunsaba okunkolerako nekengeremu ati
bwe kusaba sente nga mu kategori zino kubanga tutera kugamba bwe tuti kubanga bayinza kusaba sente defend nga kisinziira ku ki. Naye tutera to advise people that if they ask you for money, ask for the receipt because they will tell you what you're paying for. For example, if they're saying they will process for your passport, they will take you on it. But remember, you must be medically fit. Who incurs the cost when you are not fit? You understand it? So there may be such costs. Even the law allows, because one states that you must pay, you can only pay administrative costs, which now have been reduced from the old 50 to 20, but also it goes ahead in the following session to say, but also you can also pay the other depending on what purpose and as long as they are approved. So bobo sasula nti bakubulira naye tajja kusasula nti akusasuze passport. Tajja kusasula nti ate sasula za ticket. Bwaba akikoze mu nsobi ate ajja kwesanga mu category gye batotwogerako the companies that are suspended. So we know those that fall and follow the law, they do not charge. That's why they comfortably advertise the jangu bajja kusasula ebintu byonna babisasulidde.
So ekyokusasula kuba tuliddeyo abangi abakyogerera nga bagamba kyekisimu ku kirese slavery nti oli abakuguze akugulidde eddala oba wowe yakusasula era n'akutulugunya bw'ayagala.
Interpretation ya principle eyo kubanga naawe oyinza tuula wano noyanti kubanga muntu waba akusasulidde endida abatakuguze naye principle bwetyo bwegamba kubanga kyandibadde kikatinga across all nti nowoba osasulidde staff wa MTN olwo gwenjogeddeko expatriate MTN ebeemuguze oba that's what is supposed to be. So sometimes we look at issues and try to look at the negative part and try to create situations to favor our arguments. But when you look at it from the all angles, si kyekyo oluusi wekitegeeza. Kubanga principle yo bweyogira alina sasula kubanga ya principle wegamba nti mukama wo bwakozesa bwonna sasula. So tegiri nti kubanga nze ngenze mu category eno kubanga kyandibadde kikola ne ku basirikale nti agwe kati bakututte Somalia bakusasulidde kati oli kitegeeza akuguze nedda. Naye sometimes we get that challenge abantu balowooza bwe bati naye si bwekito bwekiri.
Nenga ensonga za slavery e Saudi Arabia zo lugambo oba nammwe mukoze okunoonyereza ne muzimanyi?
Slavery could be defined in different ways. Ate sinza kugamba nti undanza ku defining ate slavery kubanga abantu balina different
ngeri companies zimu bagamba nti mwe bafuuka ba modern day
anti oli anti kingamba oli alaba ina prince ana definition ye gyalaba mu slavery nekituva kwogerako nti oli amusasulidde waliwo depending ku ekyo naganti yo slavery yo modern day kubanga olwaba oli amusasulidde kyegeza amuguze
amusasulidde amukozesanga bwayagala tamuwadde
which normally is not the case, which we do not agree in kubanga engeri gyengamye nti waliwo mechanism eyo. First of all mu bino mubeeramu omuntu abeera ne right to a telephone oyinza yabeerangawo challenges luli nti naye abantu bano babajjako essimu nabeerawo sometimes a general naye oli angambye anti nja kuwa very
ensonga y'essimu eyo bangi bagicomplainingeko nti ne wano nga abannauganda tebannabasimbulawo ebbanga lye bamala mu training baba denyinga communication.
No, anti omanyi waliwo simanyi, yes tuli wano tuli live on air n'essimu zange naye simanyi kiba kikutwala kitya oba tiimu wano oba n'abantu baffe batulaba nze ndi wano naye ndi ku ssimu. Kyemmanyi waliwo abatugezaako kuntuukako, they are those trying to communicate to me. But because I am doing something, I'll not be able to access the phone, not because I don't want, but because for me to be able to produce what I'm supposed to do, sijja kubeera ku ssimu. So n'olwekyo n'ababeera mu training for the time you are in training.
Even in the night?
In the night, the phones, the access phones. I have not been able to visit them at night. I will not stay here.
Verify with some of your companies.
Naye ku kino kyabeeranga. So task gye mbayinjogako nti most times twalina oba tubadde naye kigenze kati kikendeera. Belief nti tebamukkiriza simu. Kati normally twabuuzanga kati gw'otegedde otya tebamukkiriza nti angambye angambye bamuggyako essimu. Ideally muntu mwami Nixon talinaawo wano. So engeri gyolina kumanya nti normally we used to ask those questions. For you, when did you last talk to this person and all that, because it's a way you gather information. Akugamba nti nayogera naye last week naye bamuggyako essimu amaze ebbanga talina ssimu. So ideally it contradicts. It's obvious. Oli aweereza ne message because people communicate using WhatsApp or audio biki byonna. Of course kati waliwo ne TikTok and naye before ngolinga either actually it's also maybe that's something else we'll discuss another day. The authenticity of the complaint. Kubanga omuntu abeera mu buzibu ng'ayagala obuyambi yeeyogerako agamba bw'aba afunye ka chance afunye essimu agamba nze so and so I was taken by the company ABCD. I am facing this so and so issues. I do not get food. I do not get nsaba you know, that way. They have had those complaints, audios coming in and say, why is it one of which so it becomes also very hard to verify whether that is an authentic complaint and how do you treat it.
Rakubanti obuzibu oluusi obubaawo mutendinga nga companies okukkiriza ennyo mu employer okusinga owammwe gwe mwakiikirira otwala kubanga ne bwe tulaba ensonga nga zivuddeyo ng'ezimu ezibaddeko waneeno olabira ddala ng'owa company amaanyi gayogeza nga defendinga employer we Saudi Arabia ng'ekyamazima lyanga atalumirirwa ono gwe yatwala ate nga gwakiikirira.
Nze kuffe ate munnaUganda gwe basindika okukola ng'aliise mu mateeka muno gwe tulumirirwa. Mpozi oyinza kukyogera bwati naye bwe nkubuuliddeko mechanisms zetutaddeko nti tugezaako nnyo kubeera nti abantu bano batutuusaako information kubanga tuyinza kugamba nti kubatuukako by the nature of the job, for example the domestic workers, you might not, even if here in Uganda, even if I have an official from the Ministry of Labour, tayinza kuyingirira ennyumba yo kubanga olinayo omukozi ndala aze kumucheckingako. It may not be very applicable. So neeri tekiba applicable. It may not be that applicable. However, tuteekako mechanisms nti abantu bano babatuukirira the reports. Babira, because the reports are made how abantu bano jukira bali supposed kubira ne amasimu, which as a mode of communication. So mu embassy ebimu monitoring basis ekozesa nti nga tenakirenga another job order for a certain foreign company. Abantu bano batwakuwa luli status yaabwe balina amasimu depending on, because suppose bali kueleza that information that so and so has number this. So they ask for that to verify that information. So bagifuna the team amasimu gano eneddembe ogakubako verifying and most times no babatuke no bogerako nabo are you okay, so ababira ne distress nabo babulira even the other supervisor we mulimu gwe obera nti abesinga ku ekyo ku verifying. So ebyo bitekebwawo not just kubanga nti waliyo bagenzi, it's to make sure that we understand and get as much information ku bantu bano so that we can offer as much as required. So yes, depending on different circumstances, it may look ntioli aganti employer naye fe munnaUganda oyo gwe tusingira ddala.
Mukundane, abantu abamu beewuunya nti nga company mukikola mutya temulabawo controversy okuba nti yemmwe abatwala ate ne muba nga mmwe abateekeddwa okulabirira?
Teri controversy kubanga mu licensing responsibility bagiwa company nti gwe atutte omuntu oyo tetulabako obukyamu.
Bw'abanga gwantutte onfunamu ssente ate oli yazikusasula onoosobola ddala okundabirira ne bwe nnaaba nkubye enduulu.
Ensonga eri nti bwe nkututte oba nakutwala sinza yemalirira wabirawo akumbuuza ekyo tulina kimanyi nti wabirawo gavumenti ebuuza wabirawo akumbuuza ministry waliwo family so bwe mba simanyi nze akututte bwe mba sisobola kumanya wooli kijja kubeera a bit complicated ku muntu ataakutwala kubeera nti amanyi nti omuntu ono ali wano enembeera gy'alimu so ndowooza eyo yali basis nti government yabasingirako nti gw'omututte omuntu ono gw'omuwadde omuntu oyo twagala otutegeeza ali atya. So issue ya monitoring kubeera nti company oli responsible otherwise osobola yes ndoze yali basis yabo otherwise
nasobola mu checkinga ddala
lwaki nedda kubanga gwe tebakugamba nti ocheckinga akozesa checkinga ku munaganda kubanga obudde bwonna bamukubuuza
anti kyengamba nti oli amukozesa bw'abanga amukozesa mu mbeera embi ng'ate oli yansasula kubanga ssente ezijja mu kampani zammwe oli yawaayo job order employer wono omwana yaba asasudde company.
Yes, yaba asasula naye ejjukira olina responsibility ku muntu gwe wamuwa. To reportinga ku employer. To reportinga ku employer nti why oba to reportinga ku government ya Saudi Arabia nedda o reportinga ku government yo eyakukukiliaringa omuntu ne mukukwasa nti mutwale. So those yali basis.
Okay, tweyanziza nnyo tweyanzege. Mwebale mwenna ababadde bagoberera program tulinawo wanene obu comments butonotono bwe mbadde njagala tuyitemuuko katono oba oliawo obwanukule mu ddakiika nga 2. Omukulu Kato Jangman bw'ati bw'agamba, so is your mandate only limited to DWS, I think domestic service workers, and when you talk about ensuring and verifying the requirements including the contract signed by the workers, what do you consider when verifying the contracts? Kansubire oyo mukuru omufunye neki kyategeeza. Tulinawo nakyeyune Rita agamba, but the law talks of recruiting workers after assurance and confirmation of job orders. Why is it that many Ugandans are stranded abroad without jobs waiting to be shopped? Okay. Eyo ensonga ndowooza wayinza obba abantu tebagimatidde nayo ojja kwongera obbamatiza. Bambu ayogera n'agamba nti Bangladesh, Ethiopia, Philippines, they closed. It's Uganda who loves to enslave its citizens. Bw'atyo ye bw'agamba. It's not about vaccine, it's about human trafficking. Era mukulu Bambu kansubire ensonga nayo ogifunye nti gana mawanga ga closinga naye Uganda yekyayagala okwenslovinga citizens zaabwe. Kata akomyewo n'agamba nti but as you say that for the time someone is waiting to be vaccinated, having free food and where to sleep, sure, is that our problem or what takes Ugandans to go abroad? Is it food or work? Those are wagambye nti bwe baba nga wali tubalinda okubeera vaccinated babaliisa babalabirira kati yagamba nti ekyanzije ewaka kwali kulya ewaka nalisiya
wali mbadde nti anyway
kale omulala agamba nti but I think you will take this, but Mukundane alimba n'okusinga ejjembe eriva mu kisasi neriwoza nti liva buvuma. How many people have suffered after having gone through would be right channels? We have seen many being sold on streets like tomatoes. Oyo ye Rita yagamba nti olabika olimba bangi bebalabye being sold on the streets like tomatoes. nja kusaba twanukule ensonga ezo nate tulebenga tufunza
webale nyo kandoza kantandike nono before because I might forget.
Okay.
Agamba nti arabe bangi agamba I will not go in the first statement.
Okay.
But when she says that very many Ugandans that have gone through the companies suffer, and she has seen many on the streets being, I think, sold, something like that, suffering. I think she needs to differentiate some of the things. And also, it's not a fact that whoever goes through a company does not suffer. I want her to know that. It's not a fact that whoever goes through a company does not suffer.
People thought that since it's a
but what happens is that when you get into distress, you are easily trackable and get assistance. That's the most important. First of all, tulina different people. Abatuweereza ate betuweereza kuva wano neeri families zanjawulo. They have different thinkings and all that. Naye tetugamba nti kubanga oyise mu kampani tolifuna kantu konna. Naye enjawulo eriwo nti bw'oba okafunye osobola kutuukibwako, osobola kufuna obuyambi. Yenjawulo eriwo. Versus bw'oba ogenze ku bibyo oba ofuna obuzibu, the government wadde eyagala kuwa obuyambi, it becomes very hard because you're not trackable, you're not traceable. So it could be because of different reasons, ideally. It could be purely because of different reasons, but they are always done what they are repatriated. So nga kukyamwami kato wano naye kato tabeera mwami kato aba kato agambye nti is it food that took the Ugandans? I'm just summarizing it that way. I think he understood me out of context. I meant while they are waiting for vaccination, of course there are those it's so and these costs are not borne on these migrant workers. So basing on the other argument uganti lwaki bajja nga tebali vaccinated ate ne bagira babeera wano ne tugamba nti because maybe we might now rethink and say because even there are costs along which are borne by other parties. So we might rethink, or depending on the advice from the other side, and say, look, if you're not fully vaccinated, tojja jiro lindako. So I was trying to bring that up. Not that obviously there's no one who is taken from here to go because to eat. What food is there that is different from what you eat from here?
Okay.
So bamboo, you get the country, other countries closed.
Bangladesh.
And why is Uganda enslaving its citizens by sending them abroad? I think it's Chabada Tegeza. I think the context of externalization is being looked at in a narrow way. Uganda CNC, actually Uganda NCN ezisingayo kufuna sente ntono muba ntubayo bannansi abakolera ebweru. Tulina abachina wano. USA eri kwezo ezisingayo okufuna ate n'okubeera n'abannansi baayo abakolera ebweru. So for it to be looked into this way, when you talk of Bangladesh, Philippines, when you go to UAE in particular,
Saudi Arabia.
But when you go to, they could be, because there are different reasons. There were different reasons that, first of all, even our neighbor Kenya here, Bali bafunako issue about stopping. But what was the issue? Where did it come from? So is it that they decided and say we don't want to send our people there? It is because of different reasons that they agreed with the other and said, look, abantu to bansindikire. Because of different reasons, maybe cartels and all that. So to chiraba in that way. So it's not that Uganda sends. Uganda, for example, if it was that way, it would be sending everywhere. How many do we clear to go where? Would we clear people to go to Oman, for example? Do we clear people to go to UAE maids? What? No, we don't. So it's not just that the government wants to enslave. Rita wano waliwo Rita ayogedde nti amanyi it's supposed to be by the law that people should only be sent when they have the job orders. That's what it is. That's what it is. The job order is cleared.
You're still commenting on the other ones being stranded.
No, but what I said, I gave the reason as to why. It's not the occurrence that is every day. Because otherwise we would have had this from 2017. To have a musindika, basoka kubeera wano tula for 2 months and all that. Then stranded, is your mandate only limited to someone says no, it is not. It's not, and that's why, for example, I talked of the other job categories, and when you look at the the complaints handling form, it even states, it doesn't even say Saudi Arabia alone. It gives a chance of other countries, including those that were not cleared by the government. Webale nnyo, of course, nsooka kwebaza gwe mu testesi ne tiimu yo yonna, of course n'abalabi baffe n'abadde ku program ebadde nnungi, ndowooza tujja ssaba nti oddemu otuwe ka chance kano twogereko n'abantu baffe, but what is most important is that we always advise that whoever has the will to go and work abroad, to do it through a licensed company. We stick to that, and it's simply because when you have a problem, as I say, that it doesn't mean that you don't get a problem, but should you get a problem, then you'll be able to get assistance. It's because you are trackable. Yes.
Tuyanziza nnyo, tuyanzege abalabi baffe mwenna nateera omulundi omulala bwetutyo bwe tubeera wano ku Diaspora Link. Twagala nnyo, mwebale nnyo kusigala nga mulaba ne program endala zikyajja ku Alternative Digital Uganda. Weekuumire ku mukutu guno. Thank you.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.